In a quiet valley surrounded by mountains, there lived a monk known not for wealth or miracles, but for his calm presence and simple wisdom. He spoke little, lived simply, and treated every soul with deep kindness. Villagers came to him not because he had supernatural powers, but because his gentle words and small actions had the power to heal wounded hearts. One morning, a woman arrived at the monk's hut carrying her 3-year-old son in her arms. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her clothes were dusty, and her steps shaky. She had lost everything in a single night. Her child had passed away quietly in his sleep, and the weight of that silence had crushed her world. Falling to her knees, she pleaded with the monk. Her voice trembled as she said, "Please. I've heard you can help people. I've heard your wisdom brings life to the broken. My son, he's all I had. I can't live without him. Please, bring him back." The monk looked at her with quiet eyes. He didn't rush to respond. He watched the pain on her face, the desperation in her voice. After a long silence, he finally said, "There may be a way. But you will have to complete a task first." Hope returned to her face. "I'll do anything," she said. The monk gently nodded. "Go into the village and collect mustard seeds from any home you like. But remember, only take seeds from homes that have never experienced death." The woman stood up, filled with new energy. She thought it was an easy task. Mustard seeds were common, every kitchen had them. She believed she would return before sunset, holding the seeds that would bring her son back to life. She began her journey through the village, knocking on doors and asking the same question, "Has anyone died in your family?" Each time, she received a small handful of mustard seeds, but always followed by a sorrowful story. A father lost to illness, a child lost in an accident, a grandmother who passed away in her sleep. She listened to stories of old men who had lost their wives after 50 years of marriage, and mothers who still visited graves of daughters gone too soon. Each home welcomed her with compassion, but none could offer what she was looking for, mustard seeds untouched by grief. As the day passed, her hands grew full, but her heart grew heavier. She realized that no home had been spared from the touch of loss. Every family had wept. Every doorstep had seen shadows. By the time the sun began to set, she found herself sitting beneath a tree at the edge of the village. The child was still wrapped in cloth, cradled in her arms. But something had changed inside her. For the first time, she wasn't clinging to the hope of reversing what had happened. Instead, she was beginning to understand something much deeper. She looked up at the darkening sky and whispered, "I thought my pain was the worst in the world. But now I see, everyone carries their own sorrow. Grief visits every home. I am not alone." The next morning, she returned to the monk. She placed the mustard seeds on the ground before him, not as an offering of hope, but as a symbol of what she had learned. Her voice was calm as she said, "I went to every home, and no one could give me seeds untouched by death. I now understand that loss is not mine alone. My son is no longer in my arms, but I believe he is safe, in the hands of something greater. I can't bring him back, but I can begin to live again." The monk looked at her, and though he said nothing, his eyes held quiet approval. She no longer needed miracles. She had found wisdom in her pain. She left that place with the same cloth in her hands, but her walk was different. The weight was still there, but no longer unbearable. She was not the same woman who had come begging for life to return to what it was. She had grown in a way only grief can teach. Through this story, what I want you to know is, sometimes, we look for miracles to undo our pain. But the real miracle is understanding that we are not alone in it. When we begin to see our sorrow as part of the human experience, we stop fighting it, and begin to heal.